Whoa! No!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? And welcome in to the North Carolina Duke Victory Bell preview and prediction show. This is going to be quite an interesting one, and I think we both can agree on that this week. It's going to be an interesting one, and it's going to be a fun Victory Bell game, I believe, going on this Saturday. Alan, are you ready for some Victory Bell action?
Oh yeah, ring the bell. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ling, 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 ding-a-ling, ling, ling.
We really hope we're ringing the bell coming out of Durham this week. But hey, let's break this thing down, man. Let's get the tell of the tape. That way we can finally discuss this game. This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Wallace Wade Stadium on ESPN2, North Carolina, the 3-1 Tar Heels are taking on the 4-0 Duke Blue Devils, now led by Manny Diaz. Duke opens up as a 2.5-point favorite, and per ESPN Magic Predictor has a 57.1% chance of victory. This will be the 111th meeting between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Duke Blue Devils on the gridiron, and North Carolina leads all time in this series 64-40-4. They are currently on a 5-game winning streak dating back to 2019, Mac Brown's first year, where they won in epic fashion. There's a video that's out there of me and you going absolutely nuts when Chaz Surratt caught that interception in the end zone to seal that game. And boy, that was a fun night. And the jerseys looked pretty sick too, but that's neither here nor there. You know, they don't like using those no more. So I just got to get my licks in when I can. But hey, the Duke Blue Devils are now led by head coach Manny Diaz. He is in his first season as the head coach, and overall as a head coach, he is 25-15 overall. He is the former defensive coordinator at Miami in 2016 and 2018. He's also coached linebackers at NC State. He's been to Louisiana Tech. He's been to Mississippi State. And he's also been the former head coach for the Miami Hurricanes from 2019 to 2021. But most notably, especially in this matchup, he is the former defensive coordinator at Texas under Mac Brown in the years 2011 to 2013, where in 2013, he was unceremoniously fired by Mac Brown after BYU was able to rush 550 yards on Texas. Mac said, you know what? This isn't acceptable, and he let him go. Could you imagine if something like that was to happen around now? Alan, just throwing that out there. Anyway, in this past offseason, the Duke Blue Devils lost their head coach overnight. The man hopped on a plane in the middle of the night and got out of Durham and went down to Texas A&M, and that being Mike Elko, their star head coach that had come in a couple of seasons ago and completely flipped the Duke program from what it was under the last few years under David Cutcliffe to what it had become with Mike Elko. They also lost star quarterback Riley Leonard and their leading rusher Jordan Waters to NC State. In the offseason, after bringing in Manny Diaz, they were able to add 13 transfers, most notably being the quarterback, the redshirt sophomore, Malik Murphy out of the University of Texas. They also added 16 recruits in with this season and came in with I think their recruiting rank was somewhere in the 60s on the recruiting class that came in this past year. Duke's stat leader so far in passing is Malik Murphy. He is a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback. He is not a mobile quarterback, to say the least. He is very much a pocket passer, but this year he has thrown for 1,017 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. The man taking the bulk of the carries is transfer star Thomas, who is 6 foot 210 pounds. He has 69 carries on the season for 314 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he is averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Their star wide receiver, Jordan Moore, is having himself a season. He is their go-to target for Malik Murphy, as he has 24 receptions for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. Moore is a 6-foot, 195-pound wide receiver. In Duke's last game, they went on the road to Middle Tennessee, where they faced off and won that game 45-17, where Malik Murphy did throw 14-21 for 216 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. They were able to gain a total of 340 yards total for the game and only had 1 turnover. In North Carolina's last game, they sustained a loss to the James Madison Dukes in Kenan Stadium, 70-50. But Jacoby Criswell passed for 475 yards, which put him 3rd overall for passing yards by a quarterback in UNC history, only trailing behind Marquise Williams and Sam Howell. He also threw for 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that game. North Carolina gave up 611 yards in this game to James Madison and also committed 5 turnovers. However, they were able to gain 616 yards in that game. North Carolina stat leaders passing-wise is Jacoby Criswell with 638 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Their leading rusher, Omarion Hampton, already has 555 yards on the season on 85 carries, 6 touchdowns, and he is averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Their leading receivers, which are tied in yards, are J.J. Jones with 11 receptions for 175 yards and Bryson Nesbitt with 12 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Allen, coming into this game, storylines are so different for either side. North Carolina is a team that is currently under a lot of distress as a program after the flashback and the fallout of what happened at James Madison. It's been talked about throughout the week, and it has been nothing but the headlines. For North Carolina's program, not meaning to, but unfortunately having the headlines, this game really hasn't even been talked about too much. This game up against Duke, and it's a big one. It is rivalry week. On the other side, you got a 4-0 Duke Blue Devils team that was not very highly looked at coming into this season and was thought to be in a rebuilding year this year. Let's talk about it, Alan. You tell me what you see in this game and kind of give me your thoughts about the game going into it from both sides.
No, you just throw every bit of what you said in the trash can because it's a rivalry game. It doesn't
Amen,
matter.
brother.
It doesn't matter what the stats say. These games always take on a life of their own. You don't know jack diddly squat what you're going to get for either one of these teams. To be fair. So I mean, it's who comes out and wants it more. That's generally the one that's generally the team that wins. The teams that make the fewest mistakes, or in the past couple games, in the past 2 seasons, who has the best quarterback. And that just happened to be North Carolina with Drake May. And most of the time, who had the ball last. That's usually what this game has come down to. North Carolina's won 5 of these in a row. 2 were blowouts, 3 were pretty close. So it's a toss-up.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun back and forth game. I do believe this is a game where, Duke is getting us at their house. They're excited. They've got some new renovations to Wallace Way, the Devil's Deck. And this is a game in which North Carolina, the odds are forever stacked against them right now. And a lot of it by their own doing, quite frankly. We saw what happened against JMU, and it's been the topic of discussion throughout the week. And Rightfully so. I mean, when you give up 70 points at home to a group of 5 school, I don't care how good they're playing, that's not a good sign for your program, especially on top of it, the cherry on top, it being that Mack Brown talking about and accidentally saying the part he thinks out loud of, if this can't get right, maybe I just don't need to be here. That's been a topic of conversation. And currently, North Carolina has got some questions that Duke is going to stress them with, and they're going to find out the answers to them really, really fast. This is a Duke team that is well balanced on both lines of scrimmage. Their defensive line is, got some experience over there. I know they lost a couple of their stars, but they do have some good guys over there that are doing very well. Currently, right now, I believe it is Duke that leads the nation on defense, and I forget the category now that I think about it, but they lead sacks over there. Thank you. So they've shown the ability to be able to get to the quarterback. Now, I think they've only played Northwestern, UConn, Middle Tennessee, and
they have 15.
Elon. Huh?
15 sacks.
15 sacks on the season. That's a high number over there for them. Now they faced Elon, Middle Tennessee, UConn, and also Northwestern. One of those games going into double overtime, that being Northwestern, where I do believe that they were at Northwestern, if I remember correctly. So you look at the competition, but still at the same time, 15 sacks is 15 sacks. You're still getting to the quarterback. And Carolina has played a very similar talent to that outside of the Minnesota game. They have the numbers that they have. Alan, let me ask you, what are some things that you're looking for Carolina to have to get in shape really quickly when it comes up against this Duke offense, and also give me defense as well?
North Carolina has 12 sacks.
Not too far behind.
Not too far behind at all. And that's taken into consideration. I think they only had one against JMU.
I'd have to look that stat up, but tell me what you think North Carolina needs to do in this game in order to win this game.
They just got to give it. Me personally, I think this is the perfect game to have on the schedule after the game you just came out of. Just because it's a rivalry game, there's a lot on the line. There's there's seniors on this team that's never lost to Duke. I don't think they want to start now.
Nope.
So I think this will be a perfect game to come out, reestablish an identity on defense, and I think last week might be more confusing for opposing defensive coordinators than if last week if they had discovered a passing game. Their defense over there is like, could be, man, this dude just threw for 475 yards. Do we really want to JMU blitzed, but they also did a bunch of these razzle dazzles and created some extra possessions. So, I mean, do we want to risk, possibly giving up 50? Because, I mean, you don't know how good their back end is. You don't know.
Back end's pretty good from what we're hearing. But back end sounds like it's pretty solid group out there. Got some young talent, but it's playing really good out there.
So, I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. I mean, their strength of schedule is not that high, and they did struggle with some of the teams. I know North Carolina doesn't have much room to talk, because they struggled and lost to a group of 5 team.
Mm-hmm. Handily, historically.
But, they've only had 3 interceptions on the season, and 2 of them are from a safety.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess that's all right. I don't know what kind of quarterbacks they faced, but. Marquise Williams showed that he's got a lot of arm talent.
Did he? Is he back?
Not Marquise Williams.
I ain't gonna lie, he does. He looks deceivingly like Marquise with the number 12 and his build and everything. He looks deceivingly like him.
But no, he Jacob Griswold, he's got a lot of arm talent. He stood in there and took some big shots and delivered some nice balls.
Yeah.
The two interception, the one interception, of course, he's going to want that one back. That's just a part of you got to learn. I mean, it's first career start. Trying to make a play. It's a minute and a half left in the second half. You get the ball back to start the half, so you're trying to make a play,
right?
So got rushed out of the pockets. Gulliver was wide open, and but it was just running right, throwing left. It's a long throw. He's got a cannon, but it's not that cannon's not that big. Now the other one to Gavin Blackwell, he if you look at it, he had a little trouble getting out of his break, which allowed the corner to recover and really jump that route, and then it's just whoever got to the ball first, and it was him. So okay, because I mean that's a timing route. So obviously Criswell threw that ball before Gavin had even started his break. So when he slipped on the comeback, then that just it was still a good play by the cornerback. You just got to sure up how you're going into your breaks. Where your weight distribution is going in and out, coming in and out of these breaks to break back on the ball. Yeah, so I mean that was a great play. So you tip your hat on that one, and you'd be like, hey, can't make that throw again. But I mean, dude comes out first start, 475 yards, 3 touchdowns. Geez, I mean, what more do you want?
28 of 48 on the day. You never want to be put in a situation where he's having to throw 48 times, and him having to throw 48 times, you give him credit for making the completion percentage that he did. And how he operated within the pocket. It's over 50%, man. And you're really pleased with that. But I'll tell you, man, North Carolina, in my opinion, is going to have to lock down defensively. You're gonna have to put pressure on this quarterback, make him and force him to run. You've got to stop the run. Star Thomas has played really well for Duke over there. That's a guy that they're really high on. Also Terry Moore as well. They got some receivers over there, man. One of them, they have 5 receivers with over 100 yards. The number one being obviously Jordan Moore there with 340 on the season. So Carolina also has 5 receivers over 100.
I would expect
nobody over 175.
I would expect Hudsey to be on him.
Probably so. It would be a pretty even matchup considering size difference. He's 6 foot, 195. Elijah's right around that area as well.
I like Hudsey.
And and that would be a good matchup for them. So you will see how that is. Expect probably at some point in time some Marcus Allen as well over there on him at times, just to be physical and try to interrupt him, because obviously that's been his go-to guy. Malik really likes that guy a lot, and obviously and understandably so. So Carolina's got some issues to take care of, but honestly, this thing all starts up front, and Manny Diaz is a defensive guy, and he is a defensive coordinator. We all know that. He's been up under Mac, and he's going to have some I guess you could say ill will towards Mac, understandably so. So with this team, he's gonna inject the venom, and I believe that Wallace Wade is going to be filled with Duke fans. I don't think it's going to be one of the situations like we had a couple seasons ago where Carolina fans were all over that stadium. It wouldn't surprise me if not but a quote-unquote handful of UNC fans are even in the building for that game, considering how last week went. We'll see. So Carolina's got their backs against the wall. They're going to have to fight tough on this, and I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game where the running games are going to matter. The running games are absolutely going to matter. And if, we saw last week, Amari Hampton getting tackled in the backfield a good bit until later on in the game, he was able to break off. And I think go for I think it was about $139 last week. But a lot of that coming in garbage time, basically in the fourth quarter against JMU. So the running game is going to be pivotal on this. Whichever team can stop the run feels pretty good. Before last week, Carolina wasn't allowing 100 yards being ran on them. Now, obviously, it was Minnesota, Minnesota being your prime running team that they faced. They didn't have their star running back in Darius Taylor in that game, but they did have Marcus Majors, who I think has been playing really well for them so far. And then they had back-to-back guys from NC Central and then Charlotte as well. Not the most prolific running games in the world, but nevertheless, until last week. And then last week, obviously, just being blown open. So for Carolina, in my opinion, I think a lot of this game is going to be dictated by their psychological mentality coming out of last week. What has this week been about for North Carolina? Has it been about woe is me? Or has it been, okay, we're not doing this anymore, and I'm about to go show the world what I've got? They've got to communicate as a team. You saw a lot of issues with that last week, especially on the defensive side. The offensive line has got to come together a little bit more. They've been banged up. That's hurt them a lot, but I'm pretty sure everybody's back this week. We'll see about Blasky as well. I know he got to play some last week as well, so you're hoping that offensive line is back. You're hoping Randy Clements can also get back on the field to kind of help coach them when you're getting down into the game and you need that rile up speech from your position coach. He's had some health issues. Hopefully everything's going okay with him, and he'll be able to be on the sideline with his guys, because I know he's chomping at the bit to get back over there. Chip Lindsey, he is going to continue, I believe, to open this playbook up a little bit more and test some things. This is kind of a trial by fire a little bit. We saw that over the last couple of weeks. We saw it with Connor in the Charlotte game, some stuff that they ran with Connor that you probably wouldn't have saw again if Connor had, continued on being your quarterback. And I think some things that we saw that were very similar to Connor's playbook, that the same style of plays, but some differences are added into it. So I'm curious to see what they continue to do with Jacoby. I am comfortable with Jacoby being in the pocket. I think he can also get out and run. He's shown both of that. So with Duke, you're not just going to be able to settle in and say, okay, let's just go get him, because you never know what might happen. He might be able to slip, and they got to keep an eye on that. So that's going to help Carolina offensively, I believe. And always having 28 is always going to help you. I expect to see some tight end play. The Bryson Nesbitt, in my opinion, has been playing really well. And I think you just continue to get the ball to him. I feel like he's been doing better in his pass blocking, which is going to help him when NFL pro scouts come in looking for him. And also John Copenhaver as well. I expect to see maybe a little bit of maybe some Jake Johnson at time to time as well. He's had a couple of weeks to get himself ready. And I think, to me, and I'm going to toss it to you, tell me what you think. I think the biggest thing that we're going to see from Carolina offensively is, I believe that the young wide receivers, Jordan Shipp, Alex Taylor, maybe Chris, we will see, but Vari Green are going to start to enter this game and get more snaps earlier in the game. That's me. What do you think? What's your one thing you think that happened this week?
I mean, wide receiver wise, it's going to be interesting. Who's that? Deep threat at wide receiver. Since Christian Hamilton's went down,
which does hurt the team. He's been playing really well
with a lower body injury. You kind of see him; he gets rolled up on. I'm pretty sure it was the fumble he had. He gets rolled up on. That didn't look. I don't know if you saw it, but it didn't look too good.
Yeah. I will say when he came off the field, he was not hobbling.
And how he wasn't. That's interesting.
Yeah. No Kamen Rucker as well this week, which really hurts.
No Kamen Rucker, but so somebody's going to have to step up on the deep threat wise, whether it be Alex Taylor, Jordan Shipp, possibly Culliver. JJ's like the possession receiver. He's Mr. Hands, and I don't think you're going to pull him out. Just he's your possession guy. He's your
safety blanket, in my opinion. Safety blanket.
He made some fantastic catches against JMU along the sidelines. So somebody's got to step up and get some separation. I like the fact that Paysour seems to come back full speed. Nate McCullum is a full go this week, so he knows how to catch the ball. Doesn't drop many. Is
speedster as well.
Yeah, speedster. he would say that he's just as fast as Tez Walker. Tez Walker said he's probably a half a step slower, but that's neither here nor there. But no, I would expect to see probably I would if North Carolina gets the ball first and can, if they can run the ball on first down and get 4 or 5 yards, then if they can run the ball in the early downs and get in that third and short, third and manageable, it's going to be a lot easier game. If North Carolina can't run the ball on first down, get 4 or 5, 6 yards on first down, and then runs the ball again on second down and gets stopped for 2 or 3 yards again, then you're getting that third and medium, third and long. That plays into the favor. I believe that's going to play in the Duke's favor, because then they can just bring extra guys off the edge and try to speed Criswell up. So I expect to see a steady diet of Marion early to try to establish establish some physicality.
Maybe some Davion Goss as well, because Barlow is still not ready to go.
Yeah, but if Goss is unless it's a blowout, Goss's touches are going to be limited. Because big Hampton's going to want the rock regardless.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tired or not, he's going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
And if North Carolina can run the ball successfully, I could see him getting the ball 30 times just this game alone.
Well, tell me your biggest key for a North Carolina win. What's your one biggest key for North Carolina to get a win?
Pressure on the quarterback.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you can survive on the back end, but only for so long. So I mean, you got to speed. It doesn't matter who he is, NC Central guy, or
if the guy's decent at quarterback, if he has enough time to step back there in the pocket, wide receivers are going to get open at some point in time.
You gotta get some pressure to speed his eyes up, speed his feet up.
Right.
So you whether that's with 4 or whether you bring another guy, whether you bring 2 extra guys, you really got to get on the defensive line's really got to create some, get in the backfield, get some type of push.
Right. Absolutely. And for me, I think my biggest key this week is penalties. Carolina has committed a ton of flipping penalties over the last couple of weeks. Starting 2 weeks ago against Central, 16 penalties, 10 at the half. That's the most since 1960, since the 1960s or 80s. They had done something like that. It's a long flipping time. And then last week, again, a ton of penalties hurting them. They would get in third and favorable situations. One of the penalties happened to be, I think it was a false start by Dez, and Ty Adams, who was one of your safeties, kind of died on the play, and that was able to be one of their free play over the top, like 60-yard touchdown pass that they got. So penalties are gonna really be beneficial to Carolina. They're a smart team. They should not be committing the penalties that they have been over the last couple of weeks. It's been ridiculous, and they've got to get that cleaned up. Because all that's doing is hurting them. The defense could have a really good day. And I thought Carolina was doing a good job in the first little bit there before the block punt. I believe the block punt that really hurt Carolina. After that, it just seemed like there was, people were kind of demoralized a little bit after that. But if Carolina can do everything right, but let's say you get to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and you commit a penalty. You have a roughing the passer, which roughing the passer has been called a lot this year, and it's been very, very touchy, to say the least. One of them that got called on Dez was absolutely flipping ridiculous a couple of weeks ago. It just, things of that nature. But you commit a penalty, and you give them another chance, or you give them the automatic first down. You can do everything right, but you do that wrong, and that just continues to move them closer and closer to where they can at least score 3. So Carolina's got to get out of their way. They committed a lot of penalties on offense. Chris Culver was a main culprit in that. On offense, don't know what was going on with him, but if Carolina can stay relatively penalty-free or really low in penalties, it's going to be a better day for Carolina. Carolina. So before we do score predictions, this is my personal opinion. Me and you've talked about this off air. For me, this game is important to me. 2 reasons. Obviously, this is the victory bell game. As North Carolina fans, we definitely don't have to be told the importance of this game. You know, has Duke been the best football team over the last few years? No. Have they been the most competitive? No. Sometimes this game has sucked by the competitiveness of the 2 teams. I think we can easily say that over past years. But this is your rival. This is the rival right here, right? North Carolina and Duke. It is synonymous, obviously, with basketball, but it is synonymous no matter what sport they play, from football to lacrosse to tennis to field hockey to baseball to basketball to women's basketball. It doesn't matter. When North Carolina and Duke play, people around the country are keeping an eye on it, and they want to know what's up. This is the game. And what happened last week for North Carolina better be a wake-up call for them, because they got this game. So what happened last week should be motivation enough. Add this on top of it, they should be running out there with their heads on fire, knocking people down left, right, and center, making plays. They should want to set the record straight and set the standard and say, last week was not us at all. You had your day. Congratulations. It will not happen again. Because if it doesn't, and North Carolina comes out here and looks pitiful in this game, I've personally lost all faith in this program, and I believe it'd be time for a change. So I think that this game is huge for Carolina for a couple of different reasons, not only just the victory bell, but I'm going to lead it off with the score prediction. I have this last shred of optimism in me. I could be wrong for doing it, but I do believe that North Carolina and Duke's going to be a very fun game. It's going to be a game very similar to what we saw the last couple of years. Nowhere near as high scoring, but I do believe North Carolina and Duke comes down to a field goal, and that Noah Burnett will be the guy kicking that field goal, walking off with the game winner, 24-21. Alan, what you got? Out of gas.
Oh yeah, I had the burp. Sorry. No, it's going to be a close game. I think I got it 30-31. I think that's what I said on the scouting report podcast. So I'm gonna stick to that. But we'll see. We shall see.
Score again.
30-31.
Oh, okay. You got a relatively higher score. I like it, dude. I like it. And honestly, I could see it happening. Depends on how the defensive play, the defenses play, and how the protection is for both quarterbacks. If both quarterbacks are able to stay relatively clean, Malik Murphy's shown he's got an arm and he can complete passes. And last week, Jacoby Criswell showed that as well. You'd hope that continues on for Criswell. So we'll see how this thing goes, man. But this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a good game. And it's big, man. It's really big. See, we may be able to do a watch party this week. I'm not going to say that I am. It may be a potential. We will see how it goes. And if it does, I'll try to let you guys know as soon as I possibly know. But Alan, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you got a score prediction, you got thoughts on this game that we didn't say, hey, let us know down there in the comments below. Get this conversation going. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. And man, it's a big, big weekend for Carolina football. Going into the ACC play right now, 0-0 in ACC. Real season starts this week. Thank you all for watching. And as always, no matter what, no matter what,
go Heels.
Go Heels. And go to hell, Duke.
You don't want none.